talking about him. Now we're talking about him. So he really did us a great favor, and he knew what he was doing by stepping aside now. On Coach Elliott, tell you the kind of guy he is. Several years ago, I actually had a cousin who had a son who was being recruited by Appalachian State. Long story short, toward the very end of the recruiting process, and Coach Elliott was his point person in recruiting. Another guy that they were waiting on came in, and they called my brother-in-law and said, "Hey, here's the deal. Your son, unfortunately, we don't have a spot with him." Well, here's what Coach Elliott did. Talked to the kid and actually told the nephew, "You know what, feel bad about it. If you'd like to have that weekend experience with us, come on up and we'll take care of everything for you." And that's what the kid did. He ended up going, obviously, to another school.
Mm-hmm. Hey, listen, we got to break in here. That sounds like something Sean would do because I think he cares about the kids he recruits and the kids he coaches. Back in a moment. All right, let's get to the recruiting. A lot of recruiting over the weekend, mostly up Clemson way. No surprise that many of the top recruits around the state, around the Southeast, and elsewhere were at Clemson Saturday. That included a left-footed punter from Michigan who grew up in Australia. The group also included 3 recruits on official visits, including current commitment Cornell Powell, receiver from Greenville, North Carolina. The other official visits, defensive lineman Dexter Lawrence of Wake Forest, North Carolina, offensive lineman Tremaine Ankrum of Marietta, Georgia. Both, of course, enjoyed their visits, remain uncommitted, but moving forward towards their decisions because Lawrence is going to announce December 14th. He's also been to Florida on an official visit and is scheduled for Ohio State on November 21st. He's also looking at Alabama, Arkansas, and NC State. Ankrum has also been to Colorado and Nebraska officially, and he might be finished with his visits now and starting to work on a decision. Some of the others on hand at Clemson Saturday included USC commitments receiver Brian Edwards of Conway and defensive back J.J. Givens of Mechanicsville, Virginia, former Gamecock commitment linebacker P.J. Blue of Montgomery, Alabama, linebacker Rashawn Smith of Bradenton, Florida, offensive lineman John Simpson, Fort Dorchester, receiver DeAndre Overton of Greensboro, defensive back Miles Dorn of Charlotte, defensive back Isaiah Stallings of Fayetteville. In the 2017 class, quarterback Chase Bryce of Loganville, Georgia, athlete Jamiest Williams of Decatur, Georgia, defensive end Zachary Carter of Tampa, receiver James Robinson of Lakeland, Florida from the 2018 class, linebacker Xavier Thomas of Wilson, quarterback Braden Hawkins of Waxhaw, North Carolina, defensive lineman Josh Belk of Louisville. Now Stallings, I mentioned him, the defensive back from Fayetteville, 2016 class. That was his first visit to Clemson for a game. He'd been there for a junior day. He was at NC State the previous weekend. State is also strong with him. He's also been to USC and Duke, and USC is trying to get him back in for another visit over the last 3 games of the regular season. So USC remains interested. However, he's interested, but he's also kind of waiting to see what happens with the coaching situation. He is focused on Clemson, USC, NC State, Ole Miss, and Duke at this point. Receiver Dre Massey of Malden at Holmes Junior College went to Alabama Saturday, enjoyed it. Bama's not really pushing him that hard right now. He says it's kind of a medium interest. He was scheduled to visit USC this weekend. That's been changed to December 4th. Still on for Oklahoma November 21st and Florida November 28th. He's also been to Cincinnati officially. Linebacker T.J. Brunson of Richland Northeast went unofficially to Louisville Saturday, still committed there, and enjoyed the atmosphere and the fans and meeting with players. He will take an unofficial visit to USC this Saturday for the Florida game. There you go with recruiting. Check it out on the website, SportsTalkSC.com, on Twitter. Use the hashtag STRecruiting. And busy second hour is coming up. Don't leave us. Sports Talk will be right back.
Live from Columbia, this is Sports Talk on the South Carolina Radio Network. Be a part of tonight's show. Call us at 800-956-7266 or email talkback@sportstalksc.com. Now, here are your hosts for Sports Talk, Phil Kornbluth, Kevin McCrary, and Tom Hayes.
All right, let's talk South Carolina Radio Network. 800-956-7266 is the number if you want to join us. Email talkback@sportstalksc.com and on Twitter @sportstalksc. That's how you can communicate with us. The website, sportstalksc.com. A lot of people, of course, sharing an opinion or two on our stories on the website, and on Facebook, it is Sports Talk Radio Network. Let me pass along a couple of other stories of the day that we care about. The FCS polling for this week. We've got 3 teams now in the top 25 in the coaches ranking. It's Coastal 4, Charleston Southern 8, and the Citadel 20th. What a job those schools, those programs, those coaches have done. Jacksonville State is number 1. Charleston Southern's already clinched a postseason spot by virtue of at least a share of the Big South Championship right now. The Citadel's trying to do the same, and Coastal, a very, very strong position as far as a at-large berth is concerned. In the Stats FCS poll, Coastal's 4, Charleston Southern is 11, and the Citadel is 21 there. Big South players of the week: Coastal Carolina quarterback Alex Ross on the offense, Charleston Southern defensive end Anthony Ellis on the defense, and Charleston Southern kick returner Darius Hammond, special teams player of the week. In the Southern Conference, the Citadel linebacker Quinlan Washington, a freshman, is the defensive player of the week. And Newberry, speaking of teams being ranked, how about the job Newberry's doing, finishing up strongly? They're 6-3, a chance to get to 7 wins, maybe sneak in to the Division II playoffs. Right now, they're ranked number 8 in the Super Region 2 rankings. West Georgia's number 1, followed by North Alabama and Catawba. And, a note from high school. We've got the high school playoffs coming up. It wouldn't be high school playoff time if there were not some sort of controversy. Mm-hmm. And Broome High School will have a hearing tomorrow before the high school league. Broome is appealing to the high school league for inclusion into the 3A playoffs at the expense of Dreher. Right now, Dreher, as an at-large team, is scheduled to play at Myrtle Beach in the open. Broome believes it has an argument that it should be in there and not Dreher, so they're going to the high school league for a hearing tomorrow. And here again, you got a case where you got 2 teams that have to continue to practice, Broome and Dreher, and one of them is going to be told to go home. And so we'll see what happens with that. All the pairings are on the high school league website. If you want to check them out for 3A, 2A, and 1A, all those playoff pairings are up on their website for the South Carolina High School League. 800-956-7266 is our number. We'll be right back. All right, we're back at Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network, 800-956-7260. You got to give it to Perry Orth. I mean, the kid's just playing as hard as he can. He's getting everything out of his ability. The last thing he expected, I'm sure, going into this season, when he'd be the starting quarterback for South Carolina as they went through their season. But he, either by hook or by crook or by default, however you want to look at it, he's the guy. He did a nice job at Tennessee, and obviously the fumble late after the completion to Jarrell Adams, that really stung because the Gamecocks would have had at least a chance to kick a tying field goal, maybe go to overtime, maybe even stick it in the end zone. Here's Orth after the game talking about that play and, of course, just the way the Gamecocks hung in there.
Yeah, he made a heck of a play. Jarrell was just being Jarrell there. The guy just came up behind him and punched out. Just one of the things. It's just very, very unfortunate. Feel bad because Jarrell's such a good guy, and he played his tail off tonight. Caught a clutch touchdown, 4th and 7 from the goal line, and I just feel bad. But we fought as a team. We move on.
This is the second straight week that you guys have had a chance right there to end, tie or win. Haven't gotten it done. Is it starting to weigh on you, or how tough is it to stay positive right now?
No, I don't really let that stuff get to me. We'll prepare for Florida and keep on keeping on. And I thought this week obviously was much more positive at the end of the game than last week. Just gaining more experience in that kind of situation. We do 2-minute drills like that at the end of every Thursday practice to get ready for that situation. Just an unfortunate play happened.
All right, there you go. That is Perry Orth, USC quarterback. His numbers on Saturday, again, not all that bad. He was 20 of 39, and he was 233 yards, no interceptions, and ran the offense. I mean, you give him time and give him a chance to locate. And I saw him a couple of times go through the reading progression, look one way, look another way when he had that opportunity. So he did a nice job. Gamecocks had a pretty decent running game. I like the way their offense is operating right now for the most part. Defensively, yeah, they got better. They got to get off the field. 9 of 18 third down conversions. They're still among the worst in the country at stopping teams on third down.
Yeah. Defensively, again, we've kind of harping on the general theme about South Carolina and their fix and the head coaching hire, but you could argue the thing South Carolina really needs more than anything is just a defense. They need to find their defense again. That's how it really got away from Steve Spurrier last year. They didn't have a defense to hold on when they had leads built. If they had any semblance of a defense right now, if they had even a top 30 defense, this team last year and this year would probably have won an extra 5 or 6 games.
Right.
So that's the big thing that they have to figure out a way to fix right now, whether it's Sean Elliott, whether it's Tom Herman, whether it's Ron Rivera. They have to have a defense or they're not going to have any chance to turn this thing around.
Well, Sean Elliott was asked right at the post game, what did you do differently? He said, well, made a couple of adjustments, but the kids just started to play. Make a play. I think they go out there.
We hear this almost every game now. We hear this. How many games in a row now have we heard about, Sky Moore 2 games ago at Texas A&M? Well, I just went to the coach and said, let us play and blah, blah, blah. I think it happened in the maybe it was during the practice sessions where they were talking about simplifying things. It's like they come out and start a game with this complex defensive game plan, and when it doesn't work, it's sort of like, let's just throw that aside and you guys just go out and play.
Yeah, whatever.
And all of a sudden it falls into place for them.
They had a better scheme going on Saturday. One thing that was vastly improved was the tackling. They were a much better tackling defense on Saturday. They had multiple guys flying around the ball. They looked a lot better on defense in that regard because that's been a major area of issue and concern for them. They still, though, they don't have enough really good defensive players. They don't have the guy that's going to come make that strip to seal the game, a guy that's going to pick a ball off. I mean, Lamont's had a couple hit him in the hands. So you got to make those plays. You got to, they had a fumble. The ball was on the ground. You got to get that ball and, they at least recover it, not recover it and score. That's that's what good teams do.
Yeah,
They're not there.
They do the things that bad teams do.
Right.
You know, they do the things that get you beat. They don't do the things that get you wins right now. And
Mm-hmm.
look, when they had their 3-year run, they were getting the little things done. They were getting those interceptions. They were forcing those fumbles. They were getting the breaks. So maybe it's evening up to some degree. Back to the calls we go on this Monday night, and it is Ryan in Hartsville with us next here on Sports Talk. Ryan, how are you? Welcome in.
Good, Phil. How you doing tonight?
Good, sir.
All right, I got a quick observation and see if you guys agree with me or not.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Carolina, Texas A&M, and Tennessee. To me, it looks like they are running I wouldn't say a totally different offense, but they're running a lot more different plays than they were when Spurrier was there.
Mm-hmm.
And that being said, is that a reason they're having more success on offense? And now that it's on film, defensive coordinators can actually look at it and defend it. And I'll hang up and listen. Thank you, sir.
Well, I think I was thinking about this today. What kind of analogy could I draw up here? And to me, maybe, especially this year, you know, it's like riding a horse. Now, I don't know the first thing about riding a horse, but I've seen people do it.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, you got the reins, okay? If you pull on the reins with your left hand going this way, the horse is supposed to go that way. You pull on the hand, pull it to the right, he's supposed to go that way. To me, in thinking about this year, especially early on, you had Spurrier still wanting to run his play action down the field passing game, kind of pulling on the reins this way to the left. And then you had Mangus and you had Elliott. Not that they were in conflict with him, but they're more of your zone read, running quarterback type of offensive coaches. And when he gave them the go-ahead to run the offense, remember when he did that?
Mm-hmm.
That was sort of the horse being pulled on the other rein.
Yes.
And what happens is you don't get that straight line. You're kind of going side to side, and it's not good. So now what you've got is you've got one offensive theory that's being used, and everybody's on board with it. You know, Travell Wharton is coaching the offensive line the way Sean Elliott was doing it, and Sean Elliott's running his zone read running game, and GA is running his style of offense, which fits in with the zone read, et cetera, et cetera. So you really have a group of offensive coaches that are on the same page.
And it's crisper. See, they change up the rhythm so the other team's defense can't gain a rhythm. They don't walk up to the line and look at a lot of shifts. Now, they will call out of play. However, they're going to be quick. Then they'll slow it down. They'll let the clock run down. So the defense can never get a rhythm on where the offense is, when the snap count is going to be. They're changing the snap count. So things that will throw the defense off so they can execute. But it does not hurt having Brandon Wiles healthy, running the football so the play action works.
Mm-hmm. The creativity's been impressive too. Bringing Walton out there and showing a different formation. Mm-hmm. That's something you haven't seen. They ran a flea flicker at one point. They're getting different guys involved. They're moving guys around. Farrell Cooper is running the backfield and turning around and going. They're trying to confuse their looks a little bit, where you just didn't see that. I'm not trying to speak ill of Steve Spurrier. He's one of the best in the business at calling plays. It's just maybe it was getting a little stale at that point. And even when they had a bunch of playmakers on that offense, I didn't see this kind of creativity. Had you, maybe those offenses would have been even bigger. This is an offense that has a former walk-on at quarterback right now. They have Farrell Cooper and Brandon Wiles, and that's about it. I mean, an offensive line that's not.
The Neal kid is starting to show up at wide receiver.
Which is good. And get him healthy.
And Terry Gujar caught a pass. We're seeing the ball, and we saw the tight end Adams starting to, getting the ball was sort of being
Hayden Hurst sighting.
Hayden Hurst had a couple of nice catches.
Belton even caught a ball.
Two.
How about that?
Two.
That's why I'm saying, don't be surprised if they beat Florida Saturday.
I'll be surprised.
Be surprised.
I will be surprised.
I'm just saying.
I'm sorry. I'm going to be surprised.
You know who said it first? Time for the Sports Talk High School Football Report, a service of Farm Bureau Insurance. With new auto insurance rates from Farm Bureau, you could be saving a whole lot of money. Even if you've received a quote before, rates are now more competitive than ever. Get a free quote today from your local Farm Bureau insurance agents. And we welcome in our high school football agent, David Shelton, High School Sports Report, and the Charleston Post and Courier. Does Broome have a leg to stand on in this appeal to the high school league tomorrow?
I'm not really sure about all of the details because I just heard about it recently. I was working on a bunch of Charleston Southern stuff today, and it kind of caught me off guard because usually these things are pretty cut and dry. So I haven't really had a chance to kind of delve into it. You probably know more about it than I do. I just kind of saw a tweet, and I was like, well, that's unusual. So I'm assuming it's got to do something with the points or whatever because it's an at-large. It's an at-large berth between those two teams. But normally these things don't have much legs, to be honest with you. I mean, usually they have this stuff figured out. So, unless Broome's got a great case that I'm not aware of, I don't really know what's going on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, unless they figure that somebody misfigured the points and maybe somebody was given an extra point when they shouldn't have been, and thus, they should be. But
so many people do these things ahead of time. I mean, I'm not one that kind of figures all this stuff out. I wait for all these brainy guys to do it. I'm not smart enough. But so many guys have this stuff figured out. I was just kind of, when I read the tweet, and then I checked my email, and I had an email from the high school league saying there was going to be an executive committee meeting on it tomorrow, and I was like, wow, I wonder what all that's about. So, it'll be interesting to see.
Absolutely. Meantime, we've got the brackets in place for everybody else. We're ready to go to the playoffs for 3A, 2A, 1A. Anything really shock you the way the brackets turned out besides this 1 point we're talking about?
No. Like I said, with the 3As, with the 2A and the 1As, you have two divisions, and it can get a little muddled as to who's 1A, who's Division 1, and who's Division 2. But, I think most of the teams made the playoffs that deserve to be there, whatever. But, there are some interesting, not so much in the first round. I didn't see any first round matchups that I just went, ooh, upset alert. But I think when you get to the second round in a lot of classifications, there are going to be some really good potential matchups. You may see Batesburg leads on Abbeville again. Lakeview and Cross in Class A is a really good one. You might see Timberland versus Dillon in round 2, which is a game, a state championship level game, and they will play in the second round if they both win, which I would assume they'll both win easily. Bishop England's the number one in the lower state, so one of those two teams, if Bishop England gets to the lower state finals, they will host. Not sure if that'll matter either, because I think Timberland and Dillon are really good. But and in the 3A in the lower state, I noticed that Hartsville and Myrtle Beach are in the same bracket. So they're going to play before the lower state finals, which could be interesting as well.
Okay, David, thank you, my friend. You can read more of David's stuff on his website, highschoolsportsreport.com, hssr.com, and also in the Charleston area on the website, postandcourier.com. Back in a moment. All right, back on Sports Talk. Hey, you want more from your education? Palmetto College offers the quality of a 4-year education online. To find out more, visit palmettocollege.sc.edu. With Palmetto College, your future, it has no limits. What about the future of Brent Venables? I think it has no limits. Guy's doing a fantastic job, except for the second play of the game against Florida State, in which they just didn't fill the gap properly, kept the Seminoles out of the end zone the rest of the game, pretty much limited their yardage too. They had 3 or 4 chunk plays, the Seminoles did, but outside of that, not that much against this Clemson defense. Only 14 first downs for Florida State, 197 rushing yards, but 75 came on one play, 361 total yards. They kept McGuire under pressure, held him to 164 yards, sacked him twice. Clemson's defense is just darn good, and they came up big plays in the fourth quarter. Remember the stops on 3rd and 4th down to get the ball back, and then the late strip by Boulware, the turnover that pretty much sealed the deal. Here is Venables, the Clemson defensive coordinator, after the game, talking about those big stops and just the overall play of the D.
Those are 2 huge plays in the game. I mean, those were in the second half. That's the difference in the game. They're getting that stop. And Ben, we gave up the slant round. He comes and chases the guy down. I think he was just mad at himself and rips the ball out. Great competitor and great stop that was on 4th and 1. That was just huge. And, Florida State, they were the champs. They weren't going to go down easy. And talented group of guys. Thought our guys battled all night long. We made plenty of mistakes, but you got to give Florida State credit. They hit a couple seams on us, but our guys, once they got settled in, thought that they really handled a lot of things they did well.
How did you see that 4th stop go down from where you were?
They got in the bunch set, which they hadn't done in 22 personnel, 2 tights, 2 backs. And, just looking to see if we had our numbers right. Our numbers were good, and got a good surge at the point of attack, starting with Travis Blanks and whatever defensive end was on that side. And so they pulled it up, and we had, amongst others, BJ, Ben, and a host of others that knifed through there and spiked it. And they had gotten us on that play a few other times where we were soft, not lined up. They fastballed us a few times, caught us off guard, but that might have been the biggest play of the game for us defensively.
That's a very smart defensive guy. I mean, you like Kirby Smart, and everybody loves what he's done at Alabama. I give you that. But, this guy's not much below Kirby Smart in my eyes. I get to see him pretty regularly up close and see how he works. And you talk about recruiting. I know Kirby Smart is a great recruiter. I think this guy's a great recruiter too. And he's got a defense now ranked 5th in the country after being number 1 last year, after losing all those players, 5th in the country. And they just come at you from every different angle. They're well coached. They play their positions well. They tackle well. Terrific in coverage. I mean, what is there not to like? 5th in the country in team pass efficiency defense, number 1 in the ACC in that category. 9th in the country in scoring defense, 2nd in the ACC in that category. 20th in rushing defense. Again, he's just done a phenomenal job. And I can't see him being at Clemson much longer, though his name is not really reverberating with any of these jobs right now. I don't understand why.
Could he be Clemson's Mickey Andrews?
Well, I don't think he'd like to be that. I think he'd like
Why
to
not?
be a
Make
head
a good
coach
living.
somewhere. Yeah.
All
these young guys want to run their own job. They all want to run their own program sooner or later. I mean, Mickey Andrews was just one of those old throwback coaches who didn't mind being Bobby Bowden's right-hand man for 30 years, sort of like Bill Guthridge to Dean Smith. Those are rare today. You don't find those.
Maybe
very
he's
much
one of the
anymore.
rare ones.
Could be. Anyway, he's got the Clemson defense playing well. They go play a bad Syracuse team on Saturday up in the Carrier Dome. The Syracuse team, its offense is pretty punchless. Scott Schaefer is on the hot seat at Syracuse as well. I would imagine that Clemson will come out of that game with some very strong defensive numbers. Now, Jim McElwain at Florida had his weekly press conference today getting ready for South Carolina. the Gators coming off a less than sterling performance in the win over Vanderbilt Saturday at home. Not much offense, not much defense, but just enough to get a win and also, keep alive in the hopes of a playoff spot. If they can win out and win the SEC championship, they possibly be right there. Here he is talking earlier today about exactly where his team is.
First and foremost, really excited about where our football team's at and how they've gotten here and what they've accomplished so far. And you know what? That's awesome. And, obviously, as we talked about after the game, there's a lot of things we need to work on and we will work on and we'll get better at. They took it to us in some phases of the game, and yet probably as dominant a performance in special teams and defense as I've ever been involved with. And that was great to see. And when we needed, we finished. And those are very, very positives in everything that you do. I think there were some guys that for some reason, and I will figure it out, but I don't think they answered the bell. And what do I mean by that? I think as they continued to kind of take it to us, I'm not sure we responded the way you should. In other words, go finish and go win this play and don't worry about the end results. Too much time, guys, we worry in life about results. But what we've got to understand is to get the results we want, it's accumulation of consistent play-by-play, moment-by-moment wins that help you get the result. So, keeping our head down, not focusing on anything but what's important at that moment is something we've got to do. And I think there were some guys pressing. And, part of that might have been understanding what that game was about to accomplish, which is a place that this program has not been in a while. And you know what? We accomplished it. And I'm really excited about that. And I'm more excited about now today and getting ready for this next ball game and really focusing on what we do to get better. And, we've got a very good opponent that we're going to play. Guys are playing hard. They're playing to go to a bowl game. They got a chance to play the SEC East champs. It's a heck of a lot of motivation there. But at the end of the day, this focus is about us and what we do to prepare ourselves to go play well and play hard and finish in a lot of the things it takes to be truly successful in life. So this will be a great learning experience for us and our guys who, let's face it, are in uncharted waters. They haven't ever been here. I'm looking forward to it. This is when it really gets fun, and we should be excited about it. And as Gators around the country, we should be excited about where these guys have come and how far they've come to help this university be to where it should be and help this football program get back to where it belongs. And we've got a ways to go, and we'll get there. And that's the exciting thing, and that's why I love these guys.
There you go, Jim McElwain. Loving it in Gainesville. They're loving him right now. He's come in, taking somebody else's players and done a good job. His regular quarterback, of course, out for the season, going with a guy that's been a starter on and off the last couple of years. And, he's a guy that is a little bit like Murray at Texas A&M, very fast, very good with his legs, can be a pretty decent passer. Robinson is the guy in the passing game. The big wide receiver had 9 catches Saturday. Nobody else had more than 1. They didn't complete that many. The ones that completed went to him. So South Carolina had better have a plan for Demetrius Robinson. Back in a moment.
Cobb in motion. Rodgers to throw. Looking, in trouble. Hit. Lobs a pass. Intercepted at the 4-yard line. The hash marks near side. Thomas Davis jumped up and picked it off.
You know, I thought long and hard about recusing myself from this segment tonight, but I am a professional. I am a professional number one, first and right foremost. Now. I am a professional. I can sit here and professionally talk about how my team sucks. Well, they did for a half. Mick, congratulations. I think the better team did win yesterday.
Oh, I don't know, Corn.
At least for now.
Happened in the league, but I think the Packers, these two teams could meet again. I mean, I think Green Bay is definitely been to places that Carolina aspires to go. I mean, yet again, the Carolina Panthers and their fans kind of go right to one of those innings that can take at least a couple of months, if not a couple of years off your life. Green Bay almost came all the way back. I mean, a lot of credit to them, but Corn, if I had a game ball, I don't have a game ball to give away. I don't even have a desk set, pen and pencil, gym bag, or anything, but maybe a koozie or something. But if we had something in the broadcast booth to give away, I'd want to give something to Sean McDermott. I thought the defensive plan that he dialed up for the Green Bay Packers was very astute, and that Carolina stuck with it and executed it was key.
Mm-hmm. Well, Riverboat Ron, doesn't he have an extra assistant coach? Let's call him script writer. Because the Panthers will dominate a team, but for some reason, to keep folks in their seats, let's make it a little bit eerie at the end and just give the opponent the chance to think they can come back and win. It seems like every Carolina Panthers game is that way, Mick.
Well, what it is, Pro, is we're the team for the people. We believe that our sponsors need more eyeball views, more page views. Our radio audience needs to hang in there. We don't want people bailing early on the broadcast. So this is all part of a grand plan to keep people listening to as many minutes of the Carolina Panthers radio network as possible.
How many banners did you snatch up yesterday, Mick?
I love that Cam Newton, and I understand the fan being upset and that, and listen, we'll make it right. The organization will. I'll pay for it myself if it comes to that.
Yes.
But I love that Cam Newton, he's not just a mercenary trigger man. This is his home now. These are his fans. This is his stadium. And I like that he's acting and doing things to ratify that.
I agree. I mean, look, I protect the green and gold to the death, but if I were a Panther fan, I would have loved what he did, because we know how Packer fans travel and they like to make the visiting place their place. And he was making the statement, this is my place. You're not coming in here and putting your banners out and wearing your cheese heads and all that kind of stuff, okay? This is my place. I'm protecting my turf. He was fabulous. Some of those throws he made yesterday, Mick, they were incredible. I'm not even sure Tom Brady makes some of those throws. Aaron Rodgers he had his troubles, but Cam had trouble with the pressure in his face throwing the deep ball yesterday.
He had a nice touch on the deep ball, Corn. The Panthers averaged about 19.8 yards per reception yesterday, the third highest total in the NFL of any team in any game this year. So the Panthers were not just dinking and dunking. I mean, the passing game has a vertical component to it. But Cam would tell you, though, he was inaccurate. I mean, he misfired on a bang 8 on Greg Olsen that would have been a touchdown. He missed Kotchery once. He missed Ted Ginn once on a slant. So Cam was upset with himself after the game. He was pleased with the win, but he thought there were some plays left unmade out there.
How about the one-handed catch by
Oh, wasn't that spectacular? Man, it's Shangri-La right now. I mean, the Panthers are playing well. There's a cohesiveness here that's been building ever since Coach Rivera got here. Older players come in. They're vibing into the culture, mentoring younger players. It's inspirational.
You look at the schedule. I mean, you go on the road, you got the Titans, and you get the Redskins, then you're at the Cowboys, and then you're at the Saints. In the NFL, anything can happen, but the schedule's lining up a little is lining up nicely for you for this winning streak to continue.
Right. After this gauntlet, Corn, you're right. But Coach Rivera is worried about this next cluster of games. He told us tonight on Panther Talk that that Tennessee worries him because it's not a marquee game. It's not the bright lights. You're going to have to bring your own excitement and enthusiasm. But fortunately, Tennessee is playing well. They got the win over the Saints, and Mariota had 4 tuggies and no picks.
Well, I told you I'd root for you after yesterday, so I am. Once again, I was rooting for you before, and I'll root for you afterwards, though I really need you to lose 3 times now because if we're going to get home field advantage in the NFC Championship game. Looks like we need the Panthers to lose at least 3 now, and we've got to win out. Anyway, thank you, Mick. Congratulations to the Panthers. A tremendous job by them for 3 quarters and enough of an edge to hold on in the 4th. We'll be back to wrap it up in a moment. All right, thanks to Mick Mixon for being with us here on Sports Talk, our little Monday night football gathering here. Busy week ahead for us here on Sports Talk. Tomorrow, a Talking Tuesday. I'll be up at Clemson with the Tigers. K-Mac will be over at USC with the Gamecocks. We'll bring that to you tomorrow night. Wednesday, 7th Woods announces his college choice at about 9:45. We'll be over there for that at Hammond. I don't know. I think he's going to end up picking South Carolina. I just think that
Tar Heels it is.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
The
corn blue.
I just think the
Tommy Frazier prediction.
The coziness of being at home, like he was at the game yesterday, the exhibition game, hanging out with some of the his close friends on the women's team, and sitting in the stands. I just think that the logistics too strong in South Carolina's favor, and a chance to come in and be the guy instead of just being another guy. Believe me, if he goes to North Carolina, he won't be the guy. He'll just be another guy. Mm-hmm. I don't think, from what basketball people tell me, he's a very good player. He's not a program changer. He's a good player. He'd be a good piece at South Carolina. At North Carolina, I think he would just be another guy. Now, he might have those emotional feelings and that desire to play in the ACC and play at a pristine program like North Carolina.
Pristine.
The program is still pristine. It's still held in high regard.
You mean Teflon? You don't mean pristine.
Now, wherever you want to describe it. And then on Friday, we've got Jordan Bruner at Spring Valley announcing for either Clemson or Yale. That's a strange combination, but that's what it is. He's a very academically oriented kid. By the way, it is DeMarcus Robinson.
Mm-hmm.
A state man was quick to correct me. DeMarcus Robinson is a receiver who at one time was a Clemson commitment. I hate when people want to jump in and complete my sentences. Timeout. State man, you take over the show. I'm signing off. State man's going to close out.
Yes, most of us that know what we're doing back here, we knew full well who DeMarcus Robinson was and that he was a former commitment.
All right, that's enough. I can't take it anymore. He was from where? Where was he from?
Was he a Fuller boy or a North Carolina boy, right?
Come on. You don't know where he's
Georgia.
Where in Georgia?
I'm not going to remember the school.
Fort Valley. Is it Fort Valley?
I don't talk to these kids on
He
the
was
phone.
a Peach. He was from I think the high school's nickname was like the Peaches or something. Valley. Fort Valley? Something Valley.
That sounds right.
Peach Valley. Valley Peach, somewhere in Georgia.
Yeah, well done.
Okay. Anyway, that's what's coming up. What else? Frank Martin. He'll talk on Wednesday. Brad Brownell will preview the Tigers tomorrow. We'll have that covered for you as well. And what else we got? That's it. High school playoffs on Friday. So it's going to be a great week. We're looking forward to it. And tonight in the NFL, we've got the Bears
and Chargers.
And the Chargers. Sounds exciting. Well, everybody have a great night. Thanks for being with us. We'll see you tomorrow night, 6:06. Don't be late. Have a great night.